dreamt that I was on the top of this beautiful mountain range in Asia.
Actress Jennifer Coolidge is probably best known for her incredibly popular portrayal of Stifler's mom in the American Pie series, or as Paulette the manicurist from Legally Blonde. In both those cases, Jennifer's naturally quirky personality is generally played for cheap laughs, and yet she's still managed to set herself apart from her contemporaries. Basically, her style is relentlessly copied but never quite duplicated. Also, Michael and I have dropped our own house tour of our new home that we moved into this year, so go ahead and subscribe to our personal channel if you want to see where we're living and more of what we're up to. In these videos, we don't reveal any addresses, and even though I've done a house tour of my own place, please do not show up at any private residences because it's not safe for anyone. And while the fact that Jennifer spends most of the year living in a haunted house might stand in stark contrast to her bubbly on-screen personality, for anyone who actually knows her, it stands as a reminder of how much her home is a reflection of herself. When asked by Vogue to describe what it's like to live in the home of a haunted repute in the midst of New Orleans, Jennifer would explain to them, "From my movies, people assume it'll be all pink couches and fluffy rugs. They're surprised I live in this very old dark house with creepy oil paintings on the walls. It's gloomy and cavernous. I have an antique automation called Senor Blitz. When people come round for the first time, they feel like they're on a haunted house tour or fairground ride. Sofia Coppola shot The Beguiled here. I throw a Halloween party every year, but hey, it's good to confound expectations." Her longtime home is situated in the heart of the New Orleans Lower Garden District. Originally constructed in 1867, the incredible exterior to this home is located behind a cast iron gate and boasts fluted ionic columns strategically placed around the front entrance. Jennifer bought the property back in 2007, right before the onset of Hurricane Katrina. Since then, she spent a large amount of her time restoring the home to its former Greek revival/Italian glory by shoring up the foundation, replacing all the wiring, repairing the roof, patching up the plaster, and then decorating the space with Persian rugs, tasseled ottomans, an upholstered minibar, and armoires. Elsewhere in the home, oil portraits set into gilded frames stare down at visiting guests from atop some very high walls. But perhaps the most unusual item in the entire house is an heirloom from Jennifer's father's side of the family. Way back when Jennifer was little more than a child, her dad used to entertain her with performances from an automaton named Senor Blitz. This was first built in 1850. Back in the day, Jennifer's dad would perform with him in the dark using a flashlight as a spotlight, and today, Coolidge keeps her prized family keepsake in a special wooden box, removing it only occasionally to captivate her visiting guests. And while Jennifer has never invited cameras into her house to give a tour of the ins and outs of her home, she did once sit down with the folks on Watch What Happens Live to shoot down speculation that she might be recast as Samantha in a reboot to Sex and the City. In that clip, we got a small taste of her kitchen area and bore witness firsthand to the space's vaulted wooden ceiling with cross beams, beautiful wood finishes, and an overhead fan. There are also some lovely accent stools situated right behind her, which look sturdy and well built, resting under the lip of the kitchen island. All in all, it's a type of cooking space that feels both unique and familiar. No doubt, like every other inch of her enchanting home. And Jennifer isn't the only one who recognizes how special this place is. A couple of years ago, her home was used to shoot a number of interior scenes for a film called The Beguiled. Back in 2017, filmmaker Sofia Coppola set about to create a remake of the 1971 film The Beguiled, starring Clint Eastwood in the original title role. Sofia's version would star Colin Farrell, Nicole Kidman, Kirsten Dunst, Elle Fanning, and most notably, for our purposes, Jennifer Coolidge's property. While much of the film would be set and shot around Maidwood Plantation House, a space with all the trappings of a gorgeous antebellum dwelling, a number of the interiors were shot inside Jennifer's New Orleans home. This included scenes set in the music room, parlor, and the bedrooms. Of course, with this film being set in the distant past, it's not an exact representation of what Jennifer's home looks like today. But there's no denying this space's incredible charm shines through. Whether it's the high ceilings, the silk drapes, or the one one-of-a-kind antiques that Coolidge lent the production to use as set decor. Watching this film gives you about as good a sense of how Jennifer spends her days and nights in New Orleans as you're gonna get. Outside of hosting film crews at her house, Jennifer also loves to celebrate Halloween each and every year with a gigantic party, one where she reportedly goes all out. Not only does she remove all the furniture from her house, but she places long tables in the home's double galleries and treats her gathered guests to a catered meal, musicians, burlesque dancers, a costume contest, and endless glasses of wine. She's even said to leave her decorations up for months afterwards. But for as many invited guests as Jennifer is constantly welcoming into her home, there are also a few uninvited ones that came along with the place as well, and reportedly haunt its halls. Ever since moving into her New Orleans house in the late 2000s, Jennifer has felt a ghostly presence from time to time. Not an evil one per se, but a presence all the same. And while Jennifer has never seen the ghost with her own two eyes, other famous celebs who spent some time here have come much closer. Take for instance Jennifer's White Lotus co-star Connie Britton. During an appearance on Late Night with Seth Meyers, Connie would detail the haunted feeling she immediately sensed when she spent one night at Jennifer's house, telling the talk show host, "There is no electrical light on, it's all candlelight. I mean, the candelabras were candlelit. Everything was candlelight, and it was like walking into a house from the 1800s, but also a haunted house." Hoping to bear witness to a ghostly presence, Jennifer and Connie made their way to a backyard terrace where they ate pizza and drank wine all night until 1 a.m. waiting for the spirits to show up. Unfortunately, they never did. While Connie might not have had much luck in terms of catching a ghost, a couple of Jennifer's other guests have come even closer. During one of her annual Halloween parties, Nico Santos and Ben Feldman of the NBC sitcom Superstore had a close encounter with a ghostly spirit in Jennifer's downstairs bathroom. While being interviewed on an episode of Vulture's Two Friends, a Nice Time Hanging Out with People Who Know Each Other Well, Ben and Nico told the story of being invited to Jennifer's Halloween celebration, an absinthe-fueled night that became a bit hazy and then kind of scary when they attempted to use Jennifer's basement bathroom, only to be told that the spirit of a little girl haunts the toilet. Neither Ben or Nico would lay eyes on this otherworldly spirit, but both were convinced that it exists. And the feeling that something is always watching you inside this house almost never goes away. While being interviewed on Emmy's red carpet, Jennifer would reveal, "Everyone tells me a story that they've had at my house because I have a big Halloween party. They always say to me that they hear these ghost stories or somewhere else the party saw a ghost. I've heard people say, oh, there was an old sea captain sitting at the piano. And I've had people say there was a little girl bouncing a ball down the stairs." Despite having spent much of the past 15 years living here, Jennifer Coolidge has never seen a ghost for herself. She wishes she had, but she hadn't, at least not yet. Then again, with her recent performance in the popular Netflix series The Watcher, in which she plays a real estate agent selling a mysterious and quite possibly haunted New York State home, maybe her life will finally begin imitating her art. Alright guys, that's gonna bring this house tour to a close. Thanks so much for watching, and before you head out, ask yourselves this one question. If you lived in a potentially haunted house, would you try to live in harmony with the spirit, or would you throw a seance and attempt to drive the ghostly presence out? Doing the former has worked out pretty well for Jennifer so far, but let me know what you would do for yourselves in the comments down below. Otherwise, like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. My name is Kara the Vampire Slayer. Follow me on Instagram to chat more, and I'll see you all in another video. Bye!